Have you ever thought about building a career in one of the most critical and fastest-growing fields in tech? Well, today we're going to do just that. We're laying out your step-by-step roadmap to becoming a cloud security pro. Let's dive in.
So let's just start with a number that should really get your attention, over $75 billion. That's what the global cloud security market is projected to be worth by 2030. I mean, this isn't just some growing field, it's an absolute explosion of opportunity. And it's all being driven by, well, pretty much everything moving to the cloud and cyber threats getting smarter every single day.
All right, so to help you get there, we've broken this down into a really clear guide. First, we'll talk about why this field is so incredibly important. Then, we'll get into the core skills you need and the actual tools you'll be using. After that, the main event, a detailed learning roadmap. And finally, we'll cover the non-technical skills that, honestly, can make all the difference.
Okay, so first things first. Why does this field matter so much? Understanding the big picture here is really the first step. It's about so much more than just protecting data. It's about making modern business possible.
Before we go any further, let's get one thing straight. People often use cybersecurity and cloud security interchangeably, but they're not the same. Think of cybersecurity as this huge umbrella, covering everything digital. Cloud security is a specialized discipline right under that umbrella, focusing laser-tight on platforms like AWS, Azure, and Google Cloud. And a huge concept here is the shared responsibility model. It basically means the cloud provider secures the cloud itself, but you're responsible for securing whatever you put in the cloud. That's a big deal.
So what makes this such a high-value career path? Well, it's kind of a perfect storm. You've got companies moving to the cloud faster than ever. At the same time, cyber threats are becoming way more sophisticated. Then you throw in a bunch of strict regulations like HIPAA for healthcare or FedRAMP for government work, and you see why companies are absolutely desperate for people who can handle all this and prevent a disaster that could cost them millions. Okay, so we've covered the why. Now let's dig into the what. What do you actually need to know to do this job? This is all about the foundational technical bedrock of being a cloud security professional. So let's open up the old technical toolkit, shall we? You've got to be solid on network security architecture, how to build a fortress. Then there's identity and access management, or IAM, which is really all about controlling who gets the keys to what doors. Of course, you need to be an expert in encryption, threat hunting, and managing risk. But it's also about cloud-native stuff, like securing containers, and knowing how to write scripts in languages like Python or Bash to automate your defenses. All right, so knowing the concepts is great, but what are you going to be clicking on all day? Let's talk about the actual industry-standard platforms you will definitely run into out in the wild. And here are some of the heavy hitters. Each of the big three, AWS, Azure, and Google, has its own security command center that's basically your mission control for monitoring everything. Then, you'll be using powerful endpoint protection tools like CrowdStrike Falcon and SIEM platforms like Splunk, which are absolutely crucial for sifting through mountains of data to find that one tiny clue that signals an attack.
And now for the moment you've been waiting for, the core of this whole explainer, your actionable plan. We've talked about the why and the what. Now let's get down to the how with a real step-by-step guide to get you where you need to be.
I know, right? It can feel a little overwhelming. There's so much to learn, and the question I hear all the time is just, where do I even start? Well, that's what a good roadmap is for, breaking a really long journey into manageable chunks.
I really love how this breaks the journey down. So at the beginner level, you're just building that solid foundation. General cybersecurity, cloud basics, and a fantastic first goal is the CompTIA Security Plus cert. Then you move up to intermediate. This is where you start specializing in cloud specifics, and a great target is something like the AWS Certified Cloud Practitioner. And finally, you get to the advanced level. Here you're mastering really complex stuff like zero trust architecture, which is just a fancy way of saying never trust, always verify for every single access request, and you're aiming for those top-tier certs like the CCSP.
Getting the certs and knowing the tools is absolutely essential, but believe me, it's only half the battle. To really, truly be great at this, you need to develop the skills that go way beyond the keyboard. This is what we call the X factor. So, your technical skills get you in the door, but these three skills are what build your career. You have to be a great problem solver. You're basically a digital detective. Communication is huge. Can you explain a massive technical risk to your CEO in a way they'll understand and act on? And finally, adaptability. This field changes constantly. You have to love learning to stay ahead. And this quote it nails it, doesn't it? It perfectly sums everything up. Success here isn't about being just a tech wizard or just a good communicator. It's the blend. It's that fusion of deep, hard-earned technical knowledge with that sharp, creative, adaptive thinking that lets you outsmart the bad guys.
So there you have it. We've laid out the entire path, from the absolute basics all the way to the advanced skills that define a true expert. The map is officially in your hands, so the only real question left is, what's your first step going to be?